Welcome to the One Zen Academy Fitness Podcast. Everything health, wellness, fitness and performance all under one roof. My name's Kieran. I've got over 15 years worth of experience within personal training, health, wellness and sports rehabilitation. For more information, go to www.onezenacademy.com. Today I'm joined by Simon Williams. He is a personal coach and owner and chief of Fit MK, which is basically the original boot camp in Milton Keynes. So he started off doing boot camps when they weren't actually a thing. He's been a personal trainer for over 14 years and prides himself on getting results for his clients, which is a key part to this. So you can be a personal trainer, but do you actually get results? Well, this guy does. He has himself completed an Ironman. He's a licensed skydiver, and he's completed a trip to the Everest base camp, I believe, a couple of times now. So he's a good person to bounce off, a good person to share some decent, valuable information, not just on physical fitness, but mindsetting, barriers to exercise and well-being. We also take a deep dive into mental health, which I'm sure you will appreciate is we don't hold back on. So without further ado, please give a warm welcome to Simon Williams.
So that was kind of like my 40th present to myself.
Oh, okay.
Because as a 14-year-old kid, I read a story about George Mallory. Do you know George Mallory?
Yeah.
And I was just fascinated with the whole kind of like, did he, didn't he legacy. And I was just like, that is just the most incredible thing ever. I would love to leave that sort of thing myself.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm going to climb Everest sometime. And I kind of said that as a 14-year-old kid. And when I was 39, I was like, you still haven't done what you said you were going to do when you were 14. So, Jackie.
What was the hardest part about climbing to the Everest base camp? Like in your view, like because
no.
Was it the physical or was it something else?
No, it's the oxygen, lack of. So
it helps.
In my final climb, so the one where I got to Kalapatur, so that's where you're just over 6,000 meters in the air. We have a doctor traveling with us, and he took my resting heart rate. My resting heart rate is normally 54 beats a minute. My resting heart rate at 4 o'clock in the morning, just before the final climb, was 129 beats a minute.
Wow.
I just woken up like literally 20 minutes ago, and he's like, let's set your heart rate. And he's like, okay, that's 129. I'm like, what? Resting? Wow. And then you're off up a mountain in extreme weather, cold, freezing cold, wind, dark, and no oxygen.
Wow. It's
just another level. And this was the birth of my taking guys up mountain. Because there was this is a joke here. There was a Welshman and an Irishman and an Englishman, and I was literally running backwards and forwards between the two, saying, "Keep take steps," because the whole deal was we wanted to see sunrise over Everest, the summit. And when we came back down, the Sherpas that we were walking with said to the lead Sherpa, "That guy is one of the strongest climbers we've ever seen on the mountain." He was running backwards and forwards with them struggling to take steps.
Wow. And
I was just kind of like, that's probably one of the best compliments I've ever had. I mean, these guys just walk around in like 10 quid plimsolls and have nothing or anything like that. But the fact that they turned around and said, damn, you're good, was, wow, pretty special.
Nice.
And I think, it was an extreme environment. And the warmest night was probably about -4.
Wow.
So you were literally covering up in everything, but no, incredible experience. And that was the birth for me, my epiphany, where I was just like, I should get men to do this. I should get guys to do this, because it was the getting to the top and getting back down and all that sort of like, wow, that's really ticked some boxes for me in life now.
Do you still do that now? Is that
so? I've taken a group of guys out into the Pyrenees to do wild camping, and on December, the last one, I took a group of guys up Snowdon.
Oh, wow. I did see the pictures
in the flipping storm, which was not that cool, to be fair. However, we still did it, so we can say we did what we meant to do. But no. So that was kind of like, so where I've kind of gone now is into sort of like focusing on a niche of people specifically to help.
Yeah.
And who better to help than myself,
Yeah.
a 43-year-old man who's married with kids and has staff, and it's so easy to put all my energy into everything and everyone rather than myself.
Yeah.
So that's where I focus my client to be now.
Nice. So then, and that kind of blends into the personal coaching element. So kind of explain a little bit about what you're, in fact, let's rewind.
Okay, rewind. No worries.
For the benefit of the people that are listening. So just give us a general kind of rundown of where you're from, what possessed you to go into the fitness industry, and kind of that.
Okay, let's go right back to the beginning. Right back to the beginning.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. So let's start off when I was leaving. I was 17, 18 years old, and all I wanted was money.
Yes.
Because I lived in a village, which was a pain in the butt to go anywhere.
Right.
So I just wanted money to have a house and a car so I could go out and party and meet girls and drink.
Yes.
That was kind
Standard
of it.
18, 19, yes.
So I achieved that. I became an estate agent, which meant I had money.
Very rock and roll. Yeah.
Oh, totally. The height of rock and roll. And then got my house, Emerson Valley, nice and close to the city centre. There we go. I'd achieved my dream.
Yeah.
And then what happened was when I was 26 years old, I took, do you remember the tango slap advert?
Yes. Yeah.
I took one of those to the head.
All right.
And what happened was I'd literally just got back actually from Australia that day.
Yeah.
So I'd done some traveling out there. And the bang caused both my eardrums to burst.
Right.
But I didn't, because I'm a typical man, you just kind of go, oh, that really hurt.
Yeah. But
and didn't do anything about it,
Yeah.
and just carried on drinking. And the next morning I couldn't hear. And I'm like, it'll be okay. They'll pop and I'll be all right. And after a couple of weeks of being basically in agonizing pain, I eventually went to see the doctor.
right.
And the doctor sent me straight away to the ear, nose and throat clinic. And they did some tests and what have you. And after a week or so, they came back and said, right, you have really screwed up your ears. You have basically lost the hearing you have in your left ear now, which is minimal, is what you're going to have for the rest of your life. All the nerves have been damaged in your ear.
Shit.
And the right ear is repairing itself. So you're going to have some hearing, but you will have a lack of hearing in that one as well. So it ends up I've got 90% loss of hearing in my left ear now, about 30% in my right ear. So in this environment, looking at face, talking, I'm absolutely fine.
Yeah.
But at the point of that happening, it was the worst thing in the world, because now suddenly I couldn't speak to people on the phones. I really struggled in the office. I couldn't talk to people because I'd only ever known hearing. Now I didn't. And that led to my first breakdown, which was just the most horrible thing to ever have to go through. But that kind of like sort of made me realize that I need to take stock of my life right now. Where am I? What am I doing? Okay, I'm a 25-year-old, 26-year-old estate agent that smokes probably 30 to 40 cigarettes a day, that drinks every single day. Every single night I was leaving the office and I was pubbing it right up until I would go home and watch films while eating takeaway food until 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, when it seemed, right, now's a good time to go to bed so that I can wake up and still have some kind of energy for the next day's work, which I suddenly found I absolutely abhorred my life and my job and my everything.
Yeah.
And I quit estate agency and did a whole host of other jobs, mostly around sales, because that's where all my experience was. But what kind of was funny was I got back into exercise. So the first time I decided, right, time to get fit, I went and played football with some friends. And I had a sliding tackle, which meant I landed on my shoulder and my head and I broke my collarbone.
Of course. Yeah.
So that was a couple of months of recovery. And then it's like, okay, I'm going to leave football alone. And I used to do martial arts as a kid. Like I used to do karate.
Yeah.
So I was like, I really enjoyed that. Let's go back into that. So I got back into kickboxing specifically. And after a couple of months, the guys were going, actually, you're quite good. You know, do you fancy doing a tournament and stuff like that? It's like, if you think, okay, all right. So I did my first tournament probably about sort of 3 months later. Had my ass handed to me on a plate, which again gave me the sort of vision that, you know what? I only lost that because I wasn't doing this to the best I could possibly do it at.
Yeah.
And so a flick switched in my head. I went running every morning at 6 o'clock. I was constantly on the phone to people saying, can we spar? Can we pad? Can we, I was just trying to, whenever there was free moments, I was doing it. When my second fight came about, probably about 6 months later, it was really funny because it was the complete opposite of the first guy I fought. He was like muscly with tattoos and missing teeth. And I thought, this is going to happen again. But I won. And that was my kind of like, you know what? I just did something really quite powerful. I bet I could help other people do that as well, because it was just me saying, get up, do it. Come on, do this. And that's where I had the kind of, I should become maybe a personal trainer. Personal trainers weren't really as well known. We're talking like...
I think that's an understatement.
We're talking 15, 16 years ago now. So
personal what?
Yeah, exactly. Well, it was only film stars or like elite people that had personal trainers. And I was kind of thinking, I just kind of felt like kickboxing was just a little bit too niche for me. Yeah. Whilst I was good at it and I enjoyed it and stuff like that, I loved variety. I loved running around the lake. I loved doing press-ups. I love just like doing multiple different things. I thought, I'm going to become a personal trainer. So... did a bit of research, found out what was kind of going on, who the sort of industry leaders of qualifications were, because I didn't want to go to university and do I couldn't afford to drop back to that sort of, I had a mortgage now. So, I ended up at Premier, where obviously you and I first met.
Indeed, we did,
all those years ago. And that was kind of like, right, okay, this is cool. And it was really funny because even in that classroom, and you can probably attest to this, you're sort of looking at it, it's like, some people here aren't doing this for love. Yeah. Or, this isn't their passion.
Well, remember day one.
Yeah.
The woman that turned up in high heels, tight jeans, and Greg Isaacs, shout out to Greg, who was our tutor at the time, said, okay, we're going to start training. And she said, what? He said, yeah, it's a personal training course. There's a physical element. And she said, I don't have anything. She's like, what? And everyone just blankly stared and was like, what were you expecting, to happen?
On a personal training course, yeah.
Like turn up in high heels, tight leggings, I think tight jeans or something like that. But it stood out to me as, there was two types of people in the class. There were people who had a clear vision. I would say you were one of them. I was one of them. And there was definitely a handful of others, which totally, I know are very successful now. But there was also a handful where it was a case of, I don't really know what personal training is.
No, I think probably one of the things that's gone wrong with the industry a little bit, not to go too off subject here,
go for it.
Is that there's such it's kind of like it's turned into sort of like the food industry a little bit. So the food industry obviously works really hard to make the packaging as inviting and welcoming as possible, that you will take it off the shelf, take it home, pour it in your bowl, eat it, completely unaware of what the actual ingredients are. But because the message has been sold to you so well, visually and verbally and words written and all that sort of stuff, that you kind of, you buy it.
Yeah, definitely.
And that kind of happened or is happening or still happening, and you can probably tell me better, with the personal training thing. Yeah. You can earn £40,000 a year as a personal trainer doing what you love. And that's true and great, but it's also that thing in terms of like, you should say a little bit of where the things that are wrong about it as well. And what, the hard work that is required. And to be fair, if, I cannot understand how anyone can personal train anybody if that is not your absolute love to do it. I very quickly came out of the gym environment, purely because of the fact my energy was sapped by all these people who were just stood next to a treadmill, picking their ear. But people weren't texting really in those days. God, I sound so old. But
they weren't. Social media weren't.
Exactly. Social media and smartphones weren't about. But they were talking to their mates while their client was training or something like that. Or their focus and attention wasn't completely for the person that had just given them the honor of training them and the money and everything else, that they just didn't take that seriously. But that was kind of like my sort of like, okay, this isn't the positive, enthusiastic environment that I thought it was going to be. Yeah. So that was when I thought, right, what am I going to do? I'm a leader of my own destiny. let's come out of the gym then.
Yeah.
Which was kind of like, fuck, really? I'm going to do that?
Yeah.
So I started up Fit MK and created a outdoor gym, basically. And it was just me taking a group of people up and down the park. No walls, no air conditioning, no music, but no attitudes, no negativity, no sales force trying to get you to sign their mates up or you're trying to get your mates to come along to the gym and all that sort of stuff. And there was just something really authentic and beautiful about it. And I just loved it. And I was like, here we go. I found it. And I was really lucky that a few years on, my girlfriend at the time, who's now my wife, we sort of made the decision that we're going to buy a house and let's just buy as big as we can possibly afford so I can have a private gym so I can still offer that element of let's go in, look in a mirror, let's pick up something that's not covered in duck poo and still give both elements to it. But this is elite premium one-to-one, not a Bannatyne's or a Virgin or anything like that. This is a completely different environment. So I had then that sort of like that premium personal training service. And then I had the sort of like down and dirty out playing around the lakes, burpees and sprint drills kind of stuff. And it was just a beautiful combination of the two. And then just to sort of like fast forward now, so I'll bring you up to speed to where I am right now. Those have worked really well. They've gone amazing. I've loved the business, how it has. And like all things with business and what have you, there's been ups and downs and harshes and learning what I have to learn to take it to the next level. But I kind of found that coaching as something that was really powerful. And I always knew that if someone would turn up to me and wanted to lose weight and was had that desire, then I could help them. But what I was kind of frustrated with the people that I knew I could help that kept making the same mistakes over and over again. And I was like, why can I not get through to them? What is wrong with me rather than what's wrong with them? And that's where I was like, you know what? Let's start learning more mindset. Let's start understanding the brain, why it works the way it does. Why is it not just a simple program for everyone that they follow it and do as they're told, boom. And that's when I started going into neuro-linguistic programming, NLP. I did a mind map course as well. I became a big fan of Tony Robbins. Went and did his legend. Went and did his qualification. So I became a strategic coach under the sort of Tony Robbins brand. And just kind of like learned all these different ways. And, you know, the reality is now this is the stuff that everything I've ever done, and I'm sure you can attest to this, Kieran, as well. Every book you read, you never read a book and that every single word in that book was absolutely spot on, and I'm going to implement every part of it. What it's more likely, it might not even be a chapter. It may just be a paragraph. That's the paragraph that spoke volumes to me. I'm going to hold that. And it's the same thing with all the coaching and the training and the seminars and the workshops and everything I did. Nothing ever sort of like I took away like this is the ultimate thing. The Tony Robbins thing is good, but there's elements of it that don't work. NLP, again, there's some really good stuff with that, but there's stuff that just doesn't work for other people. So I just kind of kept taking snippets and making it then my own little sort of like brand. And I created my own kind of like program, which I called Upgrade, which was all understanding, positioning and get going and responsibility and attitude, diet and evolution. And the whole idea of it was that you had a very simple process of where you begin to where you end up going up. And I started teaching this through a series of workshops, which so you could apply that same principle, the upgrade principle, to nutrition, to your exercise, to your finance, to your relationships, to pretty much anything in your life, and just have a starting point and then a fundamental system to follow to get you to a point of evolution whereby you're now thriving rather than surviving.
Nice.
So that led me to finding my niche of clients where I just I love working with people who are very similar to me. So I run a program called the ET program, which is called the Empowerment and Transformation Program. I had to think what it was called then for a minute. It's been a long morning already. And that's really focused on men 40 years old who are married, have children, and tend to be in a management capacity or have a team of people underneath them, that they're just so good at looking after their wife and their children and paying the bills and paying the mortgage and doing everything they have to do, and then going to work and asking the right questions of their teams and supporting them and helping them, what have you. They forget to have time for themselves. They forget to have fun. They forget to do their fitness. They forget to do the things that are important to them. And obviously, like anything, the moment you start to run a well or a bucket dry, it's not long before it starts to creak and groan.
Have you found that depression has been a feature amongst?
Massively. Because the problem is you're doing everything to the best of your abilities, and you're focusing on everything that you should be focusing on. You should be focusing on your team. You should be focusing on your children. You should be focusing on your wife. You should be focusing on paying your mortgage. That you can't suddenly understand why you are so down, so sad. So why am I struggling in the morning and things like that? And this has been where it's been really powerful for me, because a lot of people, I mean, again, I hold my hand up. I've been right there. I've done exactly what I've just explained. I have gone through, and I don't think there's many men that haven't, to be fair. And it's that thing whereby all you need is the smallest thing. Are you drinking enough water? Are you sleeping enough? Are you doing something in terms of meditation, or just taking 5, 10, 12 minutes, whatever it is, just to sort of like recheck where you are, how you're feeling, what's going on. If an hour of exercise is too long 5 times a week, is 3 times a week 30 minutes okay? So when you start asking those questions and coming up with answers that feel right and good for you, and then you do what it is that you said you're going to do, oh my God, now suddenly the cloud lifts, and you're actually feeling like you're spending time on yourself. And I think certainly the personal training industry, again, is probably really focused on the hustle, the grind, smash it, come on, let's do this. Not
physicality of it.
Exactly. But where's the be kind?
Compassion,
where's the just show yourself some love? Where's the go for a walk? Just take the dial right down and bring some balance to that.
But if you look at the fitness industry as a whole, you see all these trends like, PX90, HIIT training. Everything's about thrashing oneself to oblivion. Yeah. And that's in it. And this is my couch psychology point of view.
Bring it, Kieran.
But it's almost like especially, and I can speak in terms of guys, having battled with depression all my life, in essence, like to varying degrees, but there's a guilt element there. And when I feel guilty, one of the things I want to do is thrash myself in the gym, high intensity wise. You'll see this reflected in January when people have gone through December, they've binged on foods and stuff, and they go for a January purge. So it's not out of love, it's out of, I'm going to go on a detox. So by very definition, it means they are toxic to go on a detox, or they want to do PX90 or HIIT training. And there's nothing wrong with these. In a periodized program, there's nothing wrong, but they do it to purge themselves, to thrash themselves. That's why it's very short-lived. Of course. And you'll see this reflected in numerous ways, I think, through a lot of people's lives. And I think with guys, and I know obviously, we're talking about guys a lot. Women have their struggles, but sure, we're 2 guys of similar age, and unfortunately, depression amongst, under 45s males is 3 times more likely than females. The biggest killer last year was male suicide, 6,000, which is phenomenal. Because when you compare it to road deaths, not to take away from road deaths at all, but it was 1,500 in total. So we know this is.
Wow.
Jesus. I know. I've recently done a mental health first aid course.
Okay, wow.
So we know this is a massive deal. You know, when I do workshops for diabetes prevention, people don't know that depression is directly linked to diabetes as well.
I can believe that.
So I see this a lot, and I guess someone who's battled depression quite a bit, you can pick it up in people. You can see it reflected in what they're going through, the words they're using, just the movement. Actually, the movement will be a lot slower. You know, these sorts of things. I
think you have almost a warped sense, and it's kind of. I mean, this is it. I mean, I can tell you the other day, I was actually in Sainsbury's, and it's all coming together. What you just said there, and an apple. I went into Sainsbury's to buy some lunch.
You touch my apple, you eat it.
Okay, I'll have your apple. I will eat your apple, don't worry. But I picked up some lunch. I can't remember exactly what it was, but an apple was one part of it. Yeah. And I went to the sort of check-in till where it was like the conveyor belt check-in till. And there was a woman at the end of the conveyor belt. She'd done her shopping and she was putting her food into her bags. Yeah. And it was now my turn to put my stuff through the beep till. And I did. And the apple went on the conveyor belt and just rolled all the way down her and touched her food. Yeah. She picked up the apple and threw it across the shop.
What?
Yeah. And I'm just kind of looking at her and thinking, first things, what the fuck?
What the fuck, man?
That was my apple. I'm not going to eat that now. But then there was another part of me that came rushing right up. Yeah. Fuck. What is so bad now that an apple touching your shopping is making you lose your shit?
It's like a subconscious, don't touch me.
Yeah, exactly. Absolutely. Yeah. And there was no point saying, are you okay, or anything like that? Just purely because I could see she was in not the right place. Yeah. So I just sort of smiled. There was no point saying, what the fuck, what are you playing? Oh, you know, I didn't want to add any stress to her. I didn't want to, I could see that she was just in a really bad place, really struggling. And I just kind of like gave her a smile and just like the most understanding nod I could possibly do. Yeah. And
it's a case of, I understand. I don't like it, but I understand. And sometimes compassion is recognizing pain.
Absolutely.
In others. And kind of seeing things like that. And I see it a lot, especially shopping. I go shopping in Sainsbury's quite a lot. And I see it, but I also see the same people because everyone's creatures of habit.
Sure.
And, you know, so you see the same similar, you know, people, you know, milling around. And you can sort of, I mean, I don't know. I never know for sure, but obviously you can sort of tell the people that are going through something.
I think so. And I think this is kind of it. I mean, it's interesting. I mean, can you recognize it in yourself when you're going through? What's your triggers? What's the thing that helps you? You know what? I'm not in the place where the clouds have descended and I'm in a really dark place and I want to kill everybody around me and smash small kittens in the face and stuff like that, because I understand that place. I've been in that place, but it's never a case of I'm as happy as, you know, the clouds are fluffy and there's, you know, the children are skipping and everything's wonderful, and that there's normally a sequence of events.
Yeah, definitely. But it's nice to actually, and you're gonna have to stick with me on this. It's nice to actually feel anger, because anger's still a feeling that's on the same spectrum as love. You know, so if you love something, the other end of that spectrum may be to feel anger, but to feel anger means I have to actually feel something for you.
Yes.
So I need to actually love you in the first place.
Yeah.
The worst place to be in, and I've been here before, is not to feel anything.
Yes.
Don't care. Take it or leave it. And I've been in that place myself where, you know, in my darkest days, it's a case of I don't care if I live or die.
Yeah, I hear you.
Okay? I don't care. In fact, you know, you kind of, I've been to a place where I've made plans, you know, of how, you know, today my life's going to end. I've made that plan, and that's a horrible place to be. So when you kind of see that in others, where it's a case of I don't care, that's when I can really feel. So that woman that threw your apple, you know, she's still that anger, that hate place. She might be on that road, but she still has that love. She has that, you know, she must have felt something for you in order for her to do that.
No,
She just kind of, you know, looked at the apple, just left her shopping and just walked off. Well, that's probably the bit where I'll be like, wow, okay, she's in a really dark place.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think this is exactly it. And I think personally, I'm I'm an extreme sports nut.
No.
Yeah. So, you know, it wasn't enough that I just did firewalks. So I had to set the firewalks on fire.
Of course, yeah. Of course.
It wasn't just enough that I did a tandem skydive. Yeah. I had to get my license, become a qualified skydiver that could jump out of the plane anywhere. Snowboarding. I mean, and like I say, it wasn't like even, the Ironman.
Yeah.
I didn't do a triathlon. I did one sprint triathlon about a month before the Ironman.
Yeah.
And that was my first ever triathlon. Just so I understood the transitions.
Yeah. I just need to understand the transition, you know. And then fuck the distance. Who gives a shit about that? I just need to have a better understanding of the transition.
And then even Everest kind of like, it was kind of, you know, there was no sort of scale of let's start small and just walk up and down Beacon Hill and Milton Keynes multiple times. So I did do that. So, but yeah, you know, I'm just going to go to Everest. I'm just, you know, and I'm a very much all chips in.
Yeah.
And that is admirable.
Yeah.
And I get obviously a lot of people sort of like pat me on the back and say how inspiring I am and da-da-da-da. But by the same token, where there is an absolute high, there is a crushing low.
Yeah.
And I'm the first to admit that I've had some real problems over the last years. And it actually came more when my children were around, because I think that was the kind of thing where I don't think there was ever so much a problem with me having to perform for my wife, my family, my friends, or anything like that. You know, they were other people. When it's like your kids, you feel so much more responsibility.
Yeah.
And am I worthy of being the person that they can call their father?
That's the word, yeah.
And all that sort of stuff. Yeah. And, you know, and it would be those kind of things in terms of like, you know, I'd have the euphoria of seeing the sun come over the summit of Everest, and that's absolutely incredible. And it's really funny. I did a video for my wife and children when I reached that point. So at that point, there would have been no one else on the planet higher than me, other than if they were in a jumbo jet.
Yeah.
And that doesn't count. Because no effort's gone into that. Yeah. They've had to walk the terminal against the plane. And I'm just kind of like, I did this video and I sent it to them, and it was a real kind of like such an emotional video.
Yeah.
And I remember when I crossed the Ironman finish line, not a triathlete in any way, shape or form, but the emotion that came out of me at the end of it was because it'd been such a slog. I mean, very much, you know, 80-mile bike rides, 10-mile run straight after, going to Italy to practice cycling up and down mountains and all this sort of stuff. So for it to culminate and cross a finish line, for it to come to an end and know that there is no more of that pain. Yeah. Oh, man.
Yeah.
That really opens the flood buckets. And I think that's just kind of it. I think specifically people that are looking to do the high intensity, the all out, everything I possibly can. What you've got to kind of understand is you're just building up the pressure to eventually that it will just be released and this bugger all underneath you. Yeah. And it's all going to come crashing out sort of thing. And I think that's where this is where it's so important now, going to that very first element of, if you're going to do something, why are you going to do it? Yeah. No, really, why? Not because you fancy it, not because your mate did it. Why? What's it going to give you? What's it, you know, what's the purpose? Does it align with your real core values? Or is it just something that is just your ego kind of like, you know, and this was, you know, the funny thing, I mean, I'll be the first to admit, ego was a massive part for me. Yeah. And it's so funny now, and I look at myself sort of 10 years ago now, that's probably about right, 10, 12 years ago now. It's almost like I've had literally everything shaved off me ego-wise, partly because of the fact that I've wised up, and another part of the fact that I've had the crap kicked out of me to learn it as well. But that's just the fundamentals. I mean, and you go into, like you brought the thing up about people in the new year to the gym and like, I need to detox. I need to, you're setting off your prefrontal cortex massively to, come on, let's do this. Let's smash it. What have you? But your brain at the back is going, no. And you're causing this massive battle in your brain. But you're okay. You can do this. And, at the end of the day, you are going to win short term. Yeah. Because the prefrontal cortex has kicked in and saying, it's okay, we can do this, we can do this. You're like, yes, I can do this. I can turn up at 6 o'clock in the morning. I can do hit circuits for 2 hours or whatever it is that you're going to do and what have you. But then suddenly you become tired. Suddenly you're missing your burgers and chips that you had every other night. Suddenly you're missing the booze and the smoking, whatever else it is that were your little rituals and habits. And then little by little, the prefrontal cortex gets tired. Yeah. And then suddenly you're being fallen back. And then, like you say, you fall back into this kind of like guilt. Oh no, I'm not doing what I know I should be doing.
Default to old habits. But, default to old, go to old behaviours, these sorts of things. They're there in the background lurking, just waiting.
Totally. And it just falls back to that. Right. So, okay, remind me, why are you doing this? Yeah. Do you actually want a six-pack? Yeah. Do you actually want to be the fastest and fittest person in the class or the gym or the city or the country or stuff like that?
Why are you actually doing it?
If I just could say to you right now, I could give you Fast and Furious and six-pack, or I could give you health and happiness. Which one would you take? And if you're going to go for the six-pack one, well, we need to have a chat. Yeah. I think it's that sort of so the very beginning of my upgrade program is understand. It's really know who you are, what you're about, what really puts a smile on your face or a flicker in your eye, or absolutely that is what I actually want. You know what? I want to feel this way. Yeah. I want to be, I just want to look in the mirror and smile rather than think I've got to pose to see whatever it is pointing back.
Well, it's when, there's a question I've posed to my PT students who go on a PT course, and they believe if they go on a PT course with me, it's all about the physicality, which I give them, but I raise questions with them, and some of them some people see it as enlightening. Wow, I didn't think I was going to get this out of this course, and some people get comfortable. And it's a case of, I always believe, you've already pointed out, actually, you are your first client.
Yeah.
Okay. When you look in the mirror, what do you see staring back at you? Do you see someone you see sorry for? Someone that you're not happy with? Okay. Because that's your first client.
Of course.
Okay. That's the thing they need to work on. When you look in the mirror, are you elated to see that person? Because it's you. You have to be with you 24 hours a day the rest of your life. And I'm not saying, in an egotistical way, I love myself, like narcissistic. I'm not talking about that. I'm just saying, actually love being myself. Okay. And if I love being myself, then if I have that, then I can give that to others. But I think it was Paul Check who said, you can't give something to someone else that you don't have.
Absolutely. So agree.
It's, and that's where it is. If you don't have love and compassion and empathy and respect for yourself, you cannot you can give the idea to someone else. You can give the idea of these things to other people, which is fine. A lot of people do that. I'm not just talking about PTs, but a lot of people do that. But I guess the road I've been on, it sounds like you've been on as well, is a case of been to some dark places.
Yeah.
I had to learn to get comfortable just being on my own.
Yeah.
Okay. Being on my own. What is that experience like? At first it was, fucking uncomfortable, but you develop a relationship with yourself. And now I know I can give that relationship to others.
Absolutely.
If they want it, of course.
Of course.
Not everyone's cup of tea, but...
No. But I think, but it's so important. I mean, this is it. I mean, you've got to see what feels right for you right now. And listen, I get it. At the moment, the problem is, a lot of the sort of like the men's health, suicidal things. I mean, and specifically, obviously, we're getting hit with very key people. I mean, obviously, very recently, Keith Flint, the Prodigy guy.
Oh shit!
Yeah, went, and it gets highlighted. Men, it's okay to talk and what have you. I actually run. I don't know if you're even part of it. I should whack you in there. I've got a group on Facebook which is called Boys Only.
Okay,
are you in there?
I'm not. No.
Oh, well, you'll be in it after this. And the funny thing is, there's probably about 250 guys in there.
Wow. Okay.
Okay, and that was started probably at the first of my kind of like crawling out the hole, where I was just like, you know what? I just need to be in a group of people who are kind of like in the same position as me. I don't want to hear a woman's point of view. I just don't. And I don't mean that in a horrible frame, because right now I just want to have, sometimes you just want to hear.
That's not a derogatory comment.
No,
it's a case
no.
of, women discuss women's issues because they get it.
Yeah.
But guys don't discuss other guys' issues.
Well,
but they should.
Absolutely. And to be fair, it was actually stemmed off because obviously I ran Fit MK. I got put into some women's groups because I could give them Fit MK sessions or whatever and stuff like that. And I just saw these women saying, "Hi guys, I feel a bit down." Oh, love. And it all comes. And there's a part of me that's just kind of like, oh, that's a bit fucking. But then there's another part of me that's just like, we don't do that. The men don't do that. And the funny thing is, I mean, like I say, and we still don't do it. So I've created this group and it sort of has the like, look, listen, we're all guys. We're all probably in the same group. We're all, we're all married. We probably have children, what have you. And it's just really funny because most of the time there's a lot of funny memes that get put in there and stuff like that. And but every now and again, someone will come in and say, my wife wants me to have a vasectomy and I really don't want to do it. Or I'm considering leaving my wife. And there was one guy that even put in there about how much he actually hated his second child that had just been born. Wow. And it was just like, whoa. Yeah. And no one in there is a counsellor. No one in there is, we're just in the same position. And that, the rule is no judgment. So whatever anyone says, you just kind of go, shit, dude, I'm sorry you feel like that. That's the key. It has
to be a safe place.
Exactly. If you kind of go, fuck, you sort yourself out, mate, or something. But, you can obviously, maybe you should, I mean, maybe it is a case of calling Samaritans. Maybe it's a case of going online and finding a charity like Mind, or, maybe it is I mean, one of the things I kind of found was purely because of the fact that I removed myself from connection so much. So my business was predominantly outdoors. So there, I only ever saw people when I was actually training them. The same with my gym. There was no one ever in there unless I was actually working with them. And the idea is I'm working with these people very specifically for the reason that they're coming to me. They don't want to hear my issues, my problems, and things like that. Some of my personal clients are probably I could classify as friends, but majority of the time I had a level of professionalism that I wanted to maintain. So if I felt shit,
of course,
you don't tell them. Obviously my wife and children are always around me. So, and there's a part of me in there where you just kind of think, well, again, I don't want to burden them with my shit, and how I'm thinking and stuff like that. So you kind of keep that there sort of thing. Okay, it'd be great to hook up with some friends and talk, but you know what? They're really busy with their kids and he's got that thing that he's going away and they've got that kind of going on. So maybe next month I'll hook up with people. But then it's the next month and then it's the next month. And then little by little, I kind of found that I was connecting with hardly nobody. And it was that horrible thing in terms of like, damn, let's go on Instagram and connect. Jesus, I was having a better relationship with my phone than an actual human being. What's going on? But again, as I sort of said earlier on, it wasn't a case of like, it's not a problem. It's now a massive fucking problem. It was small, little, intricate steps that just kind of built up to it. So I ended up having to do it. So I was kind of at my worst and I knew I needed help. So I'm just going to share with you now. And I went to Jackie, my wife, could see that I was on a downward spiral and she didn't know what to do. But obviously I didn't want her help. I wanted to be the man, the husband, the warrior, the supporter. So I probably shut her out quite a lot. And in the end, I recognized that I was going in a really bad place. And what I've done in the past was, if I was really struggling, I would change my state and circumstances, environment radically. So I remember once I was like literally chopping vegetables, and I was just like, maybe I should just chop my fingers off. Just the most bizarre thing.
Yeah.
The next day I was on a flight to Croatia and I just spent a week on a beautiful hotel, swimming in the Adriatic Sea, going on bike rides. If anyone spoke to me, I was like, don't speak to me. I had a journal. I was just writing. I literally wrote a whole book in that sort of like, I think I was out there for 10 days. And I remember someone speaking to me in English and I spoke back to them in German. Just so that they would go away.
Conversation killer, speak German.
Exactly. But I came back and I just figured out so much shit. So I'd done that all by myself. But I'd now gotten to the point where I couldn't just fuck off like that.
Yeah.
Because I had responsibilities of my work, my staff, my kids. So it became, I couldn't now do the thing that I would normally do to go away and fix myself. So in the end, I was just like, you know what? I know there's, it's good to talk, but I don't know where to start.
Yeah.
I don't want to burden my friends because it's not fair. It's not fair on them having to deal with it and stuff like that. So anyway, I ended up going to the doctor and I went to her because I probably had a hurting shoulder. And I said, oh, and another thing, just as a little side note, I've noticed I'm quite sad and depressed quite a lot of the time. Is there anything that I should do specifically? And she just like, well,
yeah.
Why? Well, let's just kind of explore that a little bit. My doctor's awesome. She's amazing. And I just said, I think I just kind of probably feel a bit down. Anyway, 2 minutes later, I'm in floods of tears in her office. An absolute mental breakthrough had come through. And she put me through the relevant NHS channels of where I end up having a counsellor. And working through the bits and bobs I need to go through and what have you. And it's never as simple as you have a conversation and you're fixed.
Yeah.
It's never as, it's a fucking really long journey. And this whole kind of like, reach out and talk. Yeah, absolutely. But reach out and talk to what is the right thing for you. Through the counsellor, I ended up sort of recognizing my brother lives in Birmingham. He runs his own business, so I hardly ever speak to him. My parents, I love them, adore them, but all I ever seem to do is sort of turn up, drop the kids off and run off and leave them. And all these kind of things kind of came out. So I just wrote an email, and it sounds really impersonal when you do it like that, but it was to the 9 people, which was my parents, my wife, my brother, my best friends, and 1 member of staff that worked with me. And in there, it was just kind of like, guys, I'm writing this email because I am struggling. And it doesn't sound like that's a strong enough word right now. Yeah. But try and put this into context. It's been months and I just feel like the world's on my shoulder and I do feel like that everything is going wrong. Blah, 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 blah. And first thing I got, as soon as I sent that email, my father rang me straight away and it was just like, what do you need? Is it money? Is it blah, blah, blah? I was like, no. Yeah.
If you offer it.
But my parents were absolutely amazing. I mean, I'm their son, so of course they do what every parent would probably do, but they were terrified. So obviously of getting that email and it was just like, why didn't you just call? Why didn't you speak? It's just like, I don't know. Well, I do know, but I don't know at the same time. I just kind of, this is my way of dealing. This is like the extremeness of me. Nothing. Oh, here's an email with all my problems. The real funny thing is one of the friends that got that email is actually a doctor of psychology. And she dropped me an email saying, I applaud you so much for doing this because it needs to be done. But you fucking muppet, why haven't you just picked up the phone to me again? And it pretty much everyone came back and said, why didn't you? So it wasn't a case, and it was one of those things, it's weird. I didn't want to sort of say to them, I just don't want to call you on my lowest, as you say, you just want to go into a bubble and sort of thing. But what I am absolutely religious on now is, like my friends specifically, just purely because they're easier to connect with, every week I meet one of them for a coffee or a meal or a night out or whatever. And if I can't do it 1 week, that's okay. But the next week, I'll do it. And I've got, some friends. So there's more than one. There's more than just one or two to choose from. So if one can't do it, the chances are the other one can. And obviously, because they realised I'm in a bad state, they would obviously make more of an effort because they knew it was more than now just having a cuppa. Yeah. This was part of my mental health.
Yeah.
So it's about. But by the same token, I wasn't putting full responsibility. So like one of my buddies, he's just got a job with Aston Martin. So he is traveling around the world now, doing the coolest job, driving horrible cars and
disgusting cars.
And, to see him right now is an impossibility.
Yeah.
And it's not because he's rejecting me or anything like that. He's just really busy.
Yeah.
He got married. He's got his first kid on the way. He's got a new position in a job now. So I'm like, cool. It's okay. There's no point me putting the pressure on. See me. So just every now and again, I know he won't contact me because he's just got too much shit going on.
Yeah.
So I just make a mental note every month at least, just drop him a line saying, hey, you about for a cuppa, for a meal, for a drink, whatever. And he's like, oh, dude, I can't do it this week, but maybe in a couple of weeks' time. Okay, cool. Mental note in a month's time, check him with again because he probably won't respond then, sort of thing. And I think the funny thing is also is I had a real issue when I was kind of like at my worst. I was actually due to go on a stag party and I just didn't want to go on a stag party, and it was going to be paintballing and all the typicals. And the best man ended up having a real pop at me and the way I was behaving. And I ended up having to say, I need to tell you something. Yeah. And it was a kind of like, I'm really struggling. This was after the emails that I'd sent out to friends, so probably about a month later or something like that. I'm really struggling with a lot of feelings and thoughts and stuff like that. And the guy said, well, snap out of it.
Oh my God.
And he only ever knew me as this strong, athletic, gym going, smashing it, Iron Man, stuff like that. So suddenly for me to say that I'm weak, he just couldn't comprehend it.
Yeah.
He is the people that we know in the gym.
Yeah.
Well, snap out of it.
Yeah, just snap out.
And
pick yourself up.
I'm so grateful for him in the respect that I needed someone to act like a knob. And he did.
Yeah.
Because everyone's being so fucking understanding. I needed someone to just say snap out of it. And I was like, do I need to snap out of it? And then it's just like, you know what? He's the next one that's going to be having a breakdown. Maybe not next month or 6 months or a year, but there'll be he's in that place right now. Yeah. So I just kind of went back to him and said, I hear you and thank you for trying to help me with your way of helping me.
Yeah.
But yeah, I probably can't explain it in a way that you're going to understand. So all I'll just say, I'm going to crack on and deal with it myself, sort of thing. Yeah. But ultimately, going right back to my original point is you have to figure out what is the right thing for you. Don't be afraid of the fact that you are going to come up against barriers and things that are going to stop you from progressing, because that is life, not just mental health. That is everything that kind of goes on. But if it's not speaking to you or not working for you, don't do it. Find something else. Just, in exercise, you wouldn't just go and straight start deadlifting 100 kilos straight away. Yeah. Because if that's what you expected to do, because that's what your mate did, or you saw the bloke across the gym do it, sort of thing, well, you're going to have a rough ride.
Yeah, hard time.
But if you start with 20 and work with that and feel the pain and correct the imbalances and get the technique right, then little by little you can push that up to 30, and then before you know it, you're on 50, and then next thing you know, you're on 80, and then little by little you'll get there. But you've got to find the thing that works for you and that you can roll with before you start going on to the next thing.
Yeah.
And, just understand that, it's so easy to have negative. I had someone buy me a book, the Donald Trump book, Fire and Fury, I think it's called. And I was like, oh, wow, this is going to be a great read because it's Donald Trump. And let's face it, he's like the sort of, the crash show Jerry Springer stuff. And I probably got about 4 or 5 chapters into it, and I just I could feel the energy and the negativity. And I was just like, I'm one of these people, I hate starting a book and not finishing it. at that point. But that was one of my, again, key moments. I don't have to read this. I just shut it.
Yeah.
And I bought another book called The Book of Joy. Have you read that one?
I haven't, no.
It's Archbishop Desmond Tutu and the Dalai Lama having a conversation.
Oh, nice.
And this journalist recorded it. And it's one of the most uplifting conversations you can possibly ever imagine. So much so, I very rarely ever do this. I finished the book and I just went right back to the beginning and started it again and read. It was just, I just felt wonderful reading it and hearing these two powerhouse of guys who totally understand emotion and spirituality and all the other bits and bobs. And it wasn't about religion or anything like that. It was about being human.
Yeah.
And we are all brothers. We are all sisters. We are all part of one sort of thing. And that's where it all kind of like fundamentally comes down to. It doesn't matter whether you're Gandhi, Mother Teresa or Hitler. You know, we're we're humans. And it was just really nice to hear, you know, how these two guys, and you know, they talk about Nelson Mandela and they talk about Barack Obama and all these other people who are, you know, inspirational people, what have you, but it's so easy to focus on the negative, and it's so easy to watch YouTube or TVs with negativity and not understand how that is filtering its way down into you and piling up. The moment you recognize that it is becoming sad, depressing, whatever the right word is for you, that you're kind of not enjoying it anymore, stop it and turn on the positivity tap, whatever that might be.
Yeah, exactly. Whatever it may be. There was, funny enough, talking about books, there was so I commute around a lot, so I listen to audiobooks quite a bit. And it was an audiobook I took a punt on, and it was Can't Hurt Me, David Goggins. Have you read that?
I haven't. That's on my to-do list, actually.
That is phenomenal. I listened to that twice. It was like 13-hour length on the audio. I've played it twice. It's a phenomenal story.
I know the story is
really inspirational, really kind of, you know, if anyone, you know, would suffer from, you know, post-traumatic stress, depression, this guy should. but it's a case of, you know, I guess mentally he probably had a fork in the road. He could have gone one way, which he was doing. And something happened where he went the other way. You know,
totally.
You know, a Navy SEAL. You become... there was this one element of the story, and I don't recommend this to anyone, by the way, but he was in the Navy SEALs and he just, he'd put in to do 100-miler. Okay. 100-mile run. Okay. Navy SEAL. Because why not?
Yeah.
The night before, his, the person above him, I don't pretend to know the, you know, lieutenant, you know, chief, whatever. Yeah. Person above him basically challenged him, you know, for a leg session in the gym. And he's like, you're a Navy SEAL, can't say no. He's like, yeah, sure. So he had a massive leg session, you know, talking about 5-10 sets of squats, deadlifts. Next day, next morning, 100-miler. And he did it.
Okay.
The point was he did it out of mental capacity because it almost killed him. Literally almost killed him.
I can imagine it.
Kidney issues and stuff afterwards. But the whole context of the book is it's in your head. Okay. Regardless of, and I don't mean that in a derogatory way. No. I mean, every belief, every decision, everything you ever make is still within your power. And that's the point of it. It's in your power.
It's about being authentic to who you really are. Yeah. I've got another book for you.
Yeah.
Relentless.
Okay. Yeah.
Have you read that one?
Yes.
Is it called Relentless? The Michael Jordan trainer guy.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I picked up in there, which was because Michael Jordan was a phenomenal athlete, and I couldn't wait to read this book.
Yeah.
But one of the things that I picked up was Tiger Woods. An amazing golf player.
Yeah.
You could not get any better as a golf player than Tiger Woods. The guy would constantly work at making himself better. He would change his swing at the top of his game. As a golf player, you just don't do that.
Yeah.
But where he came crashing down was the facade that he put out to the world.
Yeah.
That I'm a good guy, a family man.
Yeah. He's not.
And he's not. And when it came out and the world knew and his sponsors crumbled and everything like that, he couldn't cope with that because he wasn't being true and authentic to who he was. So it's that, you know, likewise, I am not someone who will ever do, well, I would never run 100 miles. I can quite happily say that. And then if I was going to do 100 miles, I'd be quite happy to say to someone no to a leg session.
Yes. Yeah.
The day before.
Indeed.
But again, that's because, that would be me trying to impress someone or allow my ego to come in or something like that. So yeah, it's that whole kind of thing in terms of just, if you can really know who you are and be true to that.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean,
life becomes easier.
You could argue true change starts with having an honest conversation with yourself.
Absolutely.
Who am I really?
Yeah.
What do I want to do really?
Yeah.
If you asked a whole bunch of people, if you went into any office block, is this what you want to do with your life? And they may say, no. Okay. If you could do anything, money wasn't an issue, and literally nothing's off the table, what would you do? And I remember this scene from, remember the film Fight Club?
Okay.
With Brad Pitt and Ed Norton. Now, I love that film. It's one of my best films ever, but there is an actual few messages in there people miss.
Okay.
And you can tell I've watched this numerous times.
Okay. I've probably only watched it once, to be fair.
Okay.
You're going to have to educate me.
Take you into the film. So there's a bit where they drag the shopkeeper out.
Yes, I remember that.
He's hold the gun to his head. He's like, what the fuck do you want to do? And the guy's like, I'm training I want to be a vet. It's like, so why the fuck are you working there? I don't know. So I tell you what, you go away, you go to vet school or whatever the fuck it's called, and you become a vet. I'm going to come back here. And if I find you're still working here and you're not a vet, I'm going to shoot you in the head. And the guy basically is pissing his pants. He's like, oh, okay. And he runs off. And then Brad Pitt's character says, this is the best day of his life. Because he's finally found his authentic self.
Yeah.
He's finally found the truth. He just needed the extreme motivation to get there. But that's the issue. Imagine, this was the last day for you on this planet. Okay. Have you really done what you wanted to do? Have you done what you said?
I've sat down and had a conversation with you.
Yes. That's it. My job is done.
Actually, there's an exercise I do with clients, and it tends to be quite early on in the process.
Yeah. Okay.
They have to write in one session. And it doesn't matter if it takes them 20 minutes or the entire length of the session. And sometimes the session does overrun because of this exercise. They have to write 100 goals.
Wow.
And that's, you can see like you just saying, wow. And just like, 100 goals. So, all right. And off I go. I want to be fit. I want to have money. I want to have a car. I want to have a sexy wife.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Right. That's 8. Starting to run out.
Yeah.
Well, we got 92 to go.
Yeah.
And it's amazing what starts to spill out of people's heads. Because, I obviously try and coach them a little bit away. Literally nothing is out of bounds. You can write anything as insignificant as you want to or as massive as you want to. And I've had people writing things down like, I actually want to start up charities or foundations to look after people. Someone once wrote, I want to stop war. Big goal, but
are you Superman?
but why not? Because to stop war, there are so many branches that you can pull out of that to where you could go. So what are you doing to actually stop war right now? Nothing. Okay. Could you potentially get into the political arena, or is it, could you just put out videos of peace and happiness? There's things that you could do to stop war, but you're not doing them. And this is kind of the whole idea, is that you just kind of really explore everything that you want, from having a swimming pool to being the happiest you've ever been, to meditating on top of a mountain, whatever it is. But if you anyone listening to this, or even yourself, Kim, give this a go. Sit down and say, piece of paper, 1 to 100, fill in every single line. And it's amazing how, it's a tough gig. There's no doubt about it. But it's possible and doable. And then when you've finally completed those 100, what will happen is you'll filter it down, because there'll be a load on there that's just absolute rubbish. You've just written that down for the sake of writing it down. But in there will be some gems, some real absolute goals that you really, really want to achieve. And then you can kind of like start to, that is, and and the funny thing is, it's very rarely the top 3 or 10 that are the ones that people really want. It tends to be around it tends to be either in between the 30 and 40 or around the 60.
When they start digging deep.
Yeah, exactly.
The subconscious really starts to spout out, actually, while we're here,
yeah,
I wouldn't mind doing this.
Exactly. And it could just be something like, I just fancy cycling this iconic route, or, and, wow, okay, that's a cool thing to do. Actually, it is. Why am I never, and then suddenly that becomes the thing that kind of they suddenly put some energy into, and it happens. But yeah, it's a great way of really kind of like delving deep into yourself in a single session with a bit of paper and a pen, and seeing what actually comes out of your head when you really put it into it.
I like that. I've done something similar, not quite as intense, to be fair. I mainly do it with students, and it's to get them to become authentic. So I guess for me, when I put personal trainers out into the world, they represent not just my brand, but they represent me. They represent them. It's the whole shebang, and I want it to be as authentic as possible. So there's a thing in I think it's originally from the book The Chimp Paradox, but I've tweaked it a little bit to be more relevant. And it is a case of, and I time people for this as well. So I put on the board, imagine you're on your deathbed. Okay, you're lying on your deathbed, and death is next to you, and it's basically tapping its watch. It's your time, and you're like, okay, but I'm ready. I'm like 120. I'm ready. And then your great grandchild comes in, and basically says, "Great granddaddy." You're like, yeah, last breaths. How shall I live my life? And death says, "You've got 1 minute." And then I time 1 minute. You don't have time to think about it. You've got 1 minute. Write it down. How should your great grandchild live their life? And whatever you've written down is really how you should think you live your life. Do you live your life that way? Because for if you don't live your life that way, that's the degree of unhappiness and uncertainty in your life.
Absolutely. No.
And it's little practices like these that allowed me originally to kind of write my core values down. Hence, kind of, I was saying to you just before this podcast, I had a meditation. These core values literally popped up at the end of the meditation. I thought, I need to get a message out, a health, well-being, mental health, fitness message. And I need to get out there as much as possible, regardless of money, regardless of anything.
Yeah, absolutely.
And this was where it stemmed from.
Dude, like I say, I saw what you were doing, and I'm just kind of like, I never automatically say, if you ever need me, but I knew, if you ever would reach out, then I'll be here and support it, because absolutely it's what needs to be done. And I think it's so, you and I have obviously been on a relatively similar journey, just because of obviously where we've started, and we've kind of passed each other a couple of times and then gone off on completely different tangents. It's funny how it kind of comes back to the same point, sort of thing. There's another book I read not that long ago, and I'm going to say this completely wrong. Ikigai, Ikigai. It's the Japanese word, and basically it was interviewing. So Okinawa is the island of Japan, which has people living the longest in the world.
Yes.
So these guys live 120 years.
Green zones, they're called, Oh, blue zones, sorry. Blue zones are called.
Okay. I'll say okay, because I don't know. A green zone, I was just kind of thinking that sounds about right. Blue zone, sure, let's go with that. But yeah, so everyone that kind of got interviewed was, how do you live so long?
Yeah.
What is it that you do that keeps this longevity kind of going on? And it's nothing surprising.
Yeah.
They live relatively simple lives. They practice happiness.
Yeah.
They eat vegetables that they've grown themselves. Rarely do they eat meat, but they do eat meat. It's not kind of like a sort of fun sort of thing, but it's all kind of their own animals, again, that they've reared specifically and what have you. And they connect with, the villages are kept relatively, there's around 75 people in a village, and they all kind of like just connect within those 75 people. And that's it. That's basically the fundamentals of what it is that gives them their longevity.
Yeah.
And I just remember finishing it and just like, wow. I don't want to live to 120. And I'm absolutely, the old saying of, life should be that sort of like crashing and burning and going, wow, what a ride. And that's, I've said ages ago, again, probably boiling back to the George Mallory story that we spoke right back.
Yeah.
I don't know if we were recording at that point, but George Mallory obviously just disappearing and left that question of did he, didn't he?
Yeah.
I'd love that sort of thing, that I just went off and did something and then suddenly I never came back. And people go, well, did he do it? I don't know. He's not here. I know. We can't ask him. So did he do it? Yeah, I think so. He's the sort of guy that would do something like that, but we don't know that he definitely didn't do it. Oh man, that an avalanche comes
for all time.
Exactly. I just kind of disappear and I leave an unanswered question. No, I think that's kind of like, that sits quite well with me. But I'm not going to actively try and make that happen.
No, it's funny. It's kind of choosing the way you kind of, I guess, go and what legacy you leave.
Exactly.
I always kind of envisage. I wouldn't mind going out in a more comedy style somehow, something that where people tell the story of how I died. It's hilarious.
Oh, wow.
So
okay.
it brings a smile to people's faces.
I love that.
Actually, Kieran would have wanted it that way. It's just how he wanted it. And so when people tell a story, it's kind of, so that's my thing. So you want a question mark, did he, didn't he?
Yeah.
I just want a really good stand-up comedy routine based on my death.
Okay.
So,
all right.
So there you go. So randomly, this is how my brain works, coming back to the Okinawa in Japan.
Yes, sure.
Because I've just accessed that memory in my brain, my mind palace. The blue zones around the world. So the people who live in Okinawa, there's certain pockets of people around the world who live exactly the same.
Okay.
And they all have the same lifespans, over 100. But they all practice the same things, and yet these people have never met.
Yeah.
And they're called blue zones.
Okay.
And they just, they basically eat their veg. They're moderately active throughout the day.
Yes, that's the key. I missed that one.
They
don't exercise hardcore.
They have a degree. They practice happiness, and that could be in the form of they practice a spiritual practice or something that resembles that. Those, and they're social. They all commune, they all talk to each other, and they're all social. Those are basically the secrets, if you will, to longevity. Mm. Be social, be moderately active throughout the day, eat your fucking veg. I mean, it's not hard.
No, not really.
It's not difficult. But that's pretty much where that sits. So just to start, I guess, wrapping this conversation up.
Sure.
Is there anything for anyone listening, and I think we've touched upon this a few times, that anyone can, I guess, today put into practice that will either improve their health or wellness, or a starting point, at least, in your experience, in your practice?
Well, yes, there is. They can come along to my new program.
And what is this new program?
Well, I've just created it. I literally launched it. It's a 7-step program.
Yeah.
And I think what I've tried to do is remove any sort of overwhelm.
Yeah.
So the idea is that the very first step is, why do you want to make a change?
Yeah.
And it's just really boiling back down to, we look at, it's how you want to feel, how you want to behave, how you want people to see you, how you want to see yourself. Why is that not currently happening right now? So, the program is basically, it's 7 emails that you get over 7 days, and it's most days, every day you get a video, but also you get a worksheet. And the idea is that you just kind of have to sort of like actively do it, but it's not like an hour long. Most of these are sort of like 10-15 minute videos, and probably exactly the same with the worksheets that you'd have to do. So understanding why, then the next thing is what it is that you eat. And whilst there is some guidance on breakfast, lunch and dinners and what have you, I like putting responsibility back onto people. So one of the worksheet is very specifically, you have to complete a food diary and evaluate it yourself. and actually say, if I could change something in that diary, what would it be?
Yeah.
And okay, well, and just make it one or two things. Don't change everything. So if you are having cream donuts for breakfast and McDonald's for dinner or lunch and what have you, then that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. It's food, but just change one of them.
Yeah.
Kind of get that to become a new ritual, and then reevaluate it again in another week or 2 weeks time, and then change something else. And little by little, you'll end up with a good food diary. Then the next step is looking at movement. And again, I subscribe to the fact that if you do no movement whatsoever, you need to do 10 minutes a day.
Yeah.
And there's a whole, again, I give you 21 bodyweight exercises and you have to pick 7. And you create your own. So it could be a press up, a squat, a sit up, a plank, a downward dog. So that's part of something. So you just pick them and then you have to decide how long you do them for and how long the repetitions are. And I guide you through all of this. But it has to equal to 10 minutes. That's basically it.
Okay.
And then you do that. And then the next thing is looking at what to do when you don't feel like it.
Okay.
Because that is going to happen. Totally. And it's just that kind of like recognizing it's going to come and having a strategy in place to deal with that, whether it is I'm going to accept it today because I won't accept it tomorrow. That's acceptable. That's okay. But if I'm going to accept not doing it today because I want to have tomorrow off and then the weekend off and then I'll get back on it next week, that's not acceptable. So there's a whole bit where we come up with a plan B as well. So if you can't do what you said you're going to do, what's the plan B going to be? And I would kind of say it's be as kind to yourself as you possibly can to start off with. Yeah. If you are going into mass detox with deadlifts and a 100-mile run, whilst that's great and admirable for a week, it means jack shit if 6 months later you're right back to where you are and doing nothing. Whereas if you start at a really nice gentle pace and almost feel like it's too easy, and I'm putting inverted comments on that because I think that's a really awesome place to start, then fine. Dial it up a gear or take it up one level. Don't just jump from the 10 kilo deadlift to the 100 kilo deadlift. Just push it up to 15. Just push it up to 18. Just push it up small increments till you get to the point whereby you are challenged enough that you feel motivated to keep doing it. So if I was to wrap that up into one sentence, do the program, but also decide what it, I would say, decide what it is that how you want to feel, and then make it that whatever it is you do so easy that you cannot fail not to do it. And follow that till you feel it's right to take it up, whatever the next level might be for you. It's too easy just to keep promising yourself things that like this podcast. I'm sure you had the epiphany, but it probably took a while before it happened. So I don't know. Maybe it did. Maybe the next day you did it.
Oh, we did.
And then it's like, what should I do? What should I buy? What equipment do I need? What's the platform I'm going to do? Is it going to be too difficult to actually
realization I know nothing about sound engineering. I probably need to look that up.
Okay, exactly. So, and the obstacles will come in your way, but the only way you're ever going to overcome those obstacles is by confronting them. Yes. And if it's too big an obstacle today, that's okay. Yeah. I'm just going to come back to you next week or tomorrow, whatever it is, sort of thing, because I just need to take some steps back and overcome some other stuff. But, it's anything or everything is possible, but you've just got to have momentum. You've got to lean into it and keep taking steps. And it's amazing how 3, 6, 9 months pass and suddenly you've got progress.
Have you noticed that people have a tendency to, because there's a social pressure, people no longer start from where they are. They start from where they perceive they want to be or they perceive they are. So, or like if you, for instance, and I think this is probably an easy one to say, for instance, you run an Ironman. Yep. Okay. You have 10 years off. And you think, well, I've run an Ironman before, so I'll go out for a 6-mile run, a 100k bike run. That'll be enough to get started. And then suddenly realize actually it's tough because I've had a decade off, and your motivation dwindles, and you start becoming self-defeatist. I can't do this, and that from what I've seen is very, very common.
Well, I would, picking up on that, I would say examine your stories that you tell yourself.
Yeah.
Because they are powerful beyond what you ever know, sort of thing. So again, as a personal trainer, I'm sure you've had someone tell you, I just need to get a bit fitter before I come and see you.
Yeah.
What? That just makes no fucking sense to me whatsoever. That is a story that you're telling yourself that you're not good enough to use me as a personal trainer.
Yeah.
Fuck that.
Yeah.
Sign up with me tomorrow morning. Turn up and do it. And listen, whatever, because I remember like my first year as a personal trainer, I remember having 2 clients back to back. One was a 76-year-old grandfather, and the other one was a 25-year-old guy who had just left the Marines. And you could not get 2 different physicalities in terms of body weight, have you sort of thing. And it was that funny thing of like when the grandfather turned up, I was like, am I going to get bored by him? But I actually really enjoyed training him because I could see he would give me everything. And then with the Marine, there was a part of me that's like, I don't know if I'm going to be, I'm just going to give him one of my programs and hope that it's hard enough for him sort of stuff. But it's just, it doesn't, everyone's got their level. Everyone is on their point on their journey, wherever it is kind of thing. If you recognize that you need help, just reach out. And if you don't want to pay for it, there's Google. Yeah. It's free. I mean, I put out so much free content. There's a website called changeyourbody.co.uk. And in there you can get free mindset, free interview on motivation, free program on exercise. I'm pretty sure there will be some nutrition stuff in there as well. So, and it's all free. Yeah. And it's my stuff. Yeah. And people have paid me for that. And I don't mind people having it for free because, to be honest, if that's what's going to take you to take the step, great, do that. Obviously, if you start paying for stuff, then you get access to more. Yeah. But that's just the way life kind of is. But if you never want to pay for things, hell, the internet and Google, you have access to so much stuff. So fine, don't pay for it. Just go and get it. But then you've got to action it. But it's incredible when you start employing the help of a coach or a trainer or even if it's just a buddy working alongside you, how much faster you progress. Yeah. But recognize that the internal voice that you have inside your head is holding you back. Yeah. And if you can just quash whatever excuse, story, bullshit, whatever you want to call it, you are coming up with as to why you can't do something, it could be that you just don't want to do it. Yeah. Say that. Yeah. I don't want to train with you. Okay. Yeah. I can accept that. That's honest. That's authentic. Thank you for saying that. Yeah. Fine, could cope with that. But if it's a case of, I'm absolutely in fear because of I'm not going to be able to walk the next day or something like that. Well, let's work. Let's figure out what it is that we can do that makes sure that you feel you're going to be in a safe place, looked after, and we're helping you get the progress that's right for you and your level. So, I would say absolutely just see what you are saying internally and externally and ask the question, is that true? Yeah. Is it true? Fantastic. Nice. Where can people find you? Okay. I'm on social media. On Instagram, I'm Schnitzel1976. I'm half German. Schnitzel. Fitmk.com is the outdoor gym in Milton Keynes. So if you're local to Milton Keynes, you can come along and I still take sessions there. Not as many, but I still do turn up. It is simonawilliams.com, but as I found out this morning, it's quite outdated. Saying I'm planning to do Everest. I'll redo your bio. And then I'm on Simon A. Williams Personal Coach Facebook. From there, you'll find the access to any sort of online stuff that I'm doing. Fantastic. Thank you for joining me today. No, really appreciate it. Some really good, deep, meaningful conversation. And I genuinely hope this helps people. But, as far as I'm concerned, it was an awesome catch up. It's been enjoyable. Yeah, I loved it. Nice one. Thank you very much. Thank you for listening to the One Zen Fitness Academy podcast. My name's been Kieran.
please share with your friends, leave us a 5-star review and subscribe. Thank you for your time.